Welcome to Elevate Her Space. I am so happy to be joining on here today and revealing a new topic. It's been a few weeks, so I miss you guys so much. I have an amazing topic for this week, and I want to dive right into it. Today's topic is going to be about deleting timelines, releasing old versions of yourself. This specific topic came to me because I have been manifesting and doing a lot of self-work, a lot of self-talk, in order to find ways to release previous versions of myself that I feel like is holding me back from becoming my future version, the version of abundance, the version that I want to live within. So this week's topic about deleting timelines, releasing old versions of myself has been something that I feel like I've been subconsciously battling with. And I know that I'm not the only one that experiences this, so I want to share my perspective on it and share some things that I've learned so far while getting through these mental challenges. So the only thing that is keeping us from our internal freedom is that the belief that we are still old versions of ourselves, right? So sometimes when we are encountered with a new idea, a new goal, we can possibly convince ourselves that we are still a version of what we were once, right? Or sometimes we're in the midst of experiencing that new version of ourselves, right? We're in the land of all of the manifestations that we've been working in. And sometimes through that moment, we take a moment and our subconscious mind will remind us of those past versions. And I want to guide you through how I release those versions in order for me to no longer have to associate myself with those and erasing it. Just looking at it and saying, releasing it with love and saying, I love you. Thank you, God, for allowing me to experience that and getting through it. It has built depth in my character. It has created layers through my personality, but I no longer resonate with that version. And I release you with so much love. I release you. And I am now able to be this new version of myself that I get to recreate, because we are ultimately the creators of our storybook. And we have to think about what story we're going to be telling our children and what our children are going to tell to their children, right? We are in control of that. So with every given moment that we are granted, we are able to change the narrative whenever we want, because that's our free will to do. Sometimes we attach our identity to the past versions of ourselves that lived in fear, limitation, survival mode, a certain emotional frequency that it's okay, right? We don't have to keep anything stuck to us that we don't want anymore, right? It's okay if it's happened. It's okay that we've experienced that, but that doesn't mean it has to stay with us for our whole life. It was just one little moment and it can be gone, right? If we decide it to be. I want to bring you to this book that I recently purchased, and I was recommended it by my mentor, Amina Irfan, and it is called The Complete Notes from the Universe. It's a fun little quirky book, but it has a lot of cool passages and literally just sayings, right? Little notes to be mindful of throughout the day. And this isn't a book that you read from start to finish. It's one of those books that you just keep around the house, and when you just need something to read to change your perspective on something where you may feel stuck, it's good to pick up this book and just what happens, right? See what the universe has to say. And as I was coming around this topic today, this passage came to me, and I want to read it to you. So, the thing about pessimism, about fearful thoughts, about limiting beliefs, is that they really work. Boo, the universe. Now, that's about as scary as things get in time and in space. Sometimes life is like reading a book. Days, weeks, even years just repeat themselves until you turn the page. Letting go isn't giving up. It's understanding that the best is yet to come. That is so exciting. I'm so happy that this actually came up for me because it's so true. It aligns with this and this topic so well. The only things that are true in our life is what we put importance to. If we want to subscribe to negative thoughts, limiting beliefs, then sure, that can be true. Anything is true. If we want to subscribe to the thought that anything is possible, we live in fluidity, we live in a world where we are able to create anything that we want to create, that it is available to us, then that will be true too. We are in control of what our truth is and what our timeline will look like. And we have to find ways to subconsciously train our mind to no longer think in those ways. It's not easy, it takes time. Don't be mad at yourself because you don't want to no longer associate with yourself and these thoughts, right? Don't be mad because these thoughts are coming up. Just observe them. Observe how your mind is operating, right? Once it comes up, see it for what it is. This is coming from this, but I continuously release it. As many times as it comes up, continuously release it. It's like training the body, right? You don't just pick up a training routine at the gym for one day and decide that, oh, this is what's going to build my body, right? I want to get this body. I'm going to go to the gym once in my lifetime and it's just going to happen, right? That's not what happens. It will come up. I can't promise you that as soon as you release it, it's not going to come up, because it will. But it is our duty to continuously train the mind to believe that it's no longer what we associate ourselves with. So we're going to continuously release it, right? And what it takes for us to continuously release it is really just about the environment, right? The environment that we're setting for ourselves. Sometimes, right, we think in boxes, and this is when it comes up for us again, right? When we like to compartmentalize what something should look like in order for you to achieve this specific goal. We think that we have to look a certain way. We have to be in a certain timeline. For example, right? Sometimes we think that we have to look a certain way in order to manifest a new love interest, right? A new husband. Sometimes we feel like we have to look a certain way, use certain words to be able to manifest a specific career. Sometimes we feel like we have to be a certain way in order to run a specific business. But if we release the thought and the idea of these boxes that we constantly put ourselves in, and just think of a world that is in an infinity, right? Think of an infinity. Think about that anything is possible, anything can be done, and that we don't have to, nothing has to be certain, right? Anything can change with the power of our mind and the power of how we look at things. There's a book that I'm currently reading right now, and I want to also share it with you, and it's called Hunt, Gather, Parent. I specifically picked up this book because eventually I would like to be a mother, and in God's name. And I want to just start picking up different perspectives on how to parent, right? But this book not only dives into parenting, it dives into ancient ways of how to build families and how families were created. And I learned the first few pages of this book really dives into how we look at culture, right? In Western culture and civilization, we like to think in boxes. We live in boxes. Our houses are boxes. Our cars are boxes. The way we look at social media is a box. The way sometimes our music likes to put on us, the propaganda they like to feed us, is very compartmentalized, right? I know growing up for me, I would listen to nothing but trap music, rap music, Latin music, Puerto Rican, reggaeton, stuff like that, which I still love and I learned to embrace still. But I've also had to come to the realization as an adult that it's trained my mind to think in ways that I no longer want to associate with. I don't want to put myself in a box. The way they sexualize women, the way they make us believe that our world has to look a certain way just because that's what other people are showcasing. I don't want to think that way. I don't want to think in boxes. I want it to be okay that I might not be ready. I might not feel completely 100% about something, but doing it anyway because I get to have it too. So when we think about boxes, also realizing that we don't have to look a certain way. We don't, even the food doesn't have to look a certain way, right? Everything we feel like has to be in pictures. What can we show everyone? This is something that I really want to train myself out of. The thought of what is it gonna look like? What does it look like to other people? What does it look like for other perspectives? It does not matter. What does it feel like for you? What is it going to do for you? What is it going to do for your children? What is it going to do for the world? That's what really matters. Not what other people see or what other people have to say about something. Freedom comes from when we step outside of these boxes. That is true freedom. So when we think about boxes, let's think about replacing the boxes with flow, with a certain frequency, right? The world itself is not squared, right? There's no rough edges. The world is soft and it's in a form of a circle. The world is round and fluid. There's no sharp corners that's going to keep us in boxes, right? So we should allow ourselves to move like that. So when we think about even movement at the gym, I love a gym. I love a box gym, going to go train in it, strength training in it, whatever that is. I enjoy that. But I also have to learn that there has to be times in my life that I enjoy different movements too. When you think of strength training, you're thinking of your movements working in lines, right? In one straight line. But let's think about movements that make us feel that flow, right? Moving our hips. When we think about ancient cultures and the way other people live and other people move, women usually use dancing as something that's going to heal you, right? A healing practice. Dancing is healing in ancient cultures. So when we think about that, let's get back to that, right? Times that we feel like we need to break free from a certain idea, let's find ways to move our hips, let it flow and release any sorts of resistance or any heaviness. Don't be afraid to move your body. Even by yourself, allow yourself to laugh at yourself. Allow yourself to move in ways that maybe you've never moved before. That will bring on freedom, that alone. And when you move your body, then you can start thinking freely, right? When you move your body and you start thinking freely, you'll start eating differently. Let's reconnect with our feminine, right? That's a great way to think. Our feminine is free, it's flowy. And I want to talk about the foods that we're eating, right? When we're thinking about this, when we're thinking about previous versions of ourselves, in order to release it, we have to give life to our current version of ourselves. So asking yourself, are the foods that we're eating, is it giving ourselves life? Is it giving ourselves energy, right? I love coffee and I know what it does help me for my mind, but it also dries me out. And I have to come to realization that when I drink coffee, I have to find other practices that are going to bring life back to my cells, to give myself energy. So I have to make sure I'm eating greens, lively things, right? I have to admit, I have not been eating salads recently. So I need to get back to eating more salads. I have always fruit in my fridge, which I love. So continuously eating fruit, that gives me life. Things that have life, I want to consume. And staying away from things that do not have life to them. Warm and moist energy versus dry and depleted energy, right? When we think about that, when we think about the foods that we're eating, that we're putting in our mouth, it's very important to be able to come to realization that whatever I'm putting in my body, is the energy of the food that I'm eating gonna either make me warm and moist or dry and depleted? Which one do I want to associate myself with? Is a major question to ask yourself. And also, like I said, honoring yourself, right? This is a way of honoring yourself. Taking a moment whenever we feel like we might feel overwhelmed, we might feel like we're being tugged in many directions, to take a moment to just feed yourself something, right? Either if that's movement, if it's food, if it's a reading, if it's something that's gonna just bring us life, allowing ourselves that moment, right? Because we have to train ourselves out of that scarcity, the survival mode, the past versions that we no longer want to associate. We got to give life to what brings us life and kill whatever brings us death. That's it. And that's how I'm going to end it. I pray that this message resonates with you. I pray that it brings up certain energy that's going to help motivate you to move forward and get rid of whatever is bringing you back, right? Whatever is taking away. Let's add, right? Let's live in abundance. Let's live in freedom. I love you so much. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.